What's up,
Hello,
everybody in the world?
everyone.
Welcome back. Everybody's here, including
The
our
gang's
newest
all
Yes.
here. Woohoo!
gang's all here. We want everybody. If you guys missed yesterday, Mella's back with us full time.
Yay!
Yay!
We're so happy to have her back.
So the
Yeah,
group are
welcome.
here, and today we're going to be talking about
You
episode
too.
3 from season 1 of American Horror Story, which is titled
Oh, look
Murder
at
House.
you.
That's kinda nice.
I got it for $6, and it's official. It's official FX from the Comic-Con.
All right, so let's see who all is here right now. We got
Oh.
BRT. Hey, BRT, it's good to see ya.
What?
They're actually having a conversation.
What are they talking about? I know, what are they talking about?
We got Miss Debbie.
Other conversation. What's up, Dave?
Hey, Debbie.
Who knows exactly what I'm thinking about every time I see a new gazebo? Am I right?
Yeah. And we got Kaylee. Hi, Kaylee.
What's up, girly girl?
Hey, everybody.
So.
And Debbie.
And Miss
Debbie,
Debbie.
Debbie.
Debbie. All right. So, episode 3. Entitled
I think it was called,
Murder
right?
House.
Murder House. Oh,
Murder House.
tour.
Yes.
Did anybody catch the writers and directors of this episode? I didn't this time.
I did not.
Oh, I can find out in just 2 seconds.
Yeah. We want to give that credit each time
Yes, I do.
because it does make a difference as we get into different seasons.
Mm-hmm.
Woohoo!
Hey,
Yes.
BRT.
Hey, Big Red.
The gang is all here.
The gang's all here. I think my
Yeah,
headphones are in.
two.
So this episode is directed by Bradley.
Okay.
Bradford.
And it was written by, now this is really interesting too, Jennifer Salt.
Okay.
You see her a lot. I don't think she's a producer in the beginning of American Horror Story.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you guys have watched the show called Soap a long time ago with Billy Crystal back in the
Yeah.
I
70s.
didn't watch it, but I remember it.
I remember.
Salt is Eunice.
Oh, okay.
Jennifer Salt played Eunice on Soap. She is now one of the producers of
Oh,
American Horror Story.
I
And
did
she
not
wrote
know
this
that.
episode.
Huh.
And every time I see her
That's
name, I'm
cool.
like, man, I have to tell these guys who she is. I didn't see her in the credits for season 9 or 10, but for the first 3 or 4 seasons, when you see the producers in the beginning,
Yeah.
Jennifer Salt is one of them. I think she went from being an actress to being a producer, and this particular one she directed.
Nice. Yeah, that
And she
happens a
wrote-
lot with actors.
She wrote it. She wrote it. Excuse me. She
Brad
wrote it.
directed it. Which is very interesting because this episode it has a different flair to it than the first 2 that Ryan directed.
Yes, and she wrote it, and Bradley directed it. So,
Mhm. Nice.
she's it definitely was different, this one. I liked it. I loved it.
Well, when we get to the end, the what they did with the end was really cool. It was the first time they totally different.
Well, and
different
plus we get more background with Constance because that's
this
where it opens.
whole episode was background was
Yeah.
exposition. And
Yeah, this whole
the thing about
episode
this
was great. We find out well, go ahead when we get there.
No, I think
It's the whole thing
they-
about Moira. Oh, go
Yeah,
ahead.
what they do so well in American Horror Story, and this goes all the way through like 1984. What they do so well is when they have these big exposition episodes where they're filling in so much backstory, they're still able to move the story along forward. A lot of shows can't do that. A lot of shows just have your exposition episodes, and you're like, oh, okay, that was just a filler, blah blah blah. This one, no, you couldn't miss this episode
No.
and just learn about the backstory. You have to get this episode to get what's going forward too. So it's very interesting.
So yeah,
Kaylee, she was definitely there all the way up through. Kaylee just said they need to hire her full time. She was on the credits all the way through till season 7, I think. I'll have to look and see. I know
Yeah.
for sure the first
Really,
4 or
that
5
long?
she was involved in.
Well, go ahead. She's good.
she's good.
Good old Eunice. That is that his? I mean, I don't know if you've watched the show. She was the sister who was kind of a snobby.
Yeah.
Like she was always come and telling her sister she was a slut.
Related to Benson, wasn't it?
Huh?
Wasn't that show had some sort of distant relation to Benson?
Yes.
Well, Benson was in that show first.
Yeah. Okay.
It started with Soap. Benson was in it the whole time.
Yeah. Okay.
And
So
then when it
I'm
ended,
thinking the right
but
show.
that was where Billy Crystal kind of blew up. It was in like the late 70s, and it was so funny. It was about the two sisters and their families.
Yeah.
And Eunice was one of
the sisters.
and the other one was Jennifer Salt, who was Eunice, and I don't remember what Diana Canova's name was. She was the one who was always getting pregnant.
Yeah.
But it was, if you know, talk about going back to try to find a show. If you guys want to really laugh your asses off, because we could certainly use the laugh right now. Watch Soap.
The 70s and the 80s were prime for
it was hysterical
comedies on TV. Yeah, they had that
Debbie
really
loved
down.
it. Yep.
So anyway, the episode opens with Constance's husband. What is his name? Hugo.
Hugo. Yeah.
Okay.
Hugo.
And we get to see.
And what's interesting, here we are again. And I wonder if this is going to be a pattern. Every episode has been a flashback to, and it's another decade. We went from the 60s, or it was 70s, the 60s, the 80s. This was 1983, I believe.
83. Yeah, this is 83.
So it's
most
become
of
a
them
pattern
seem
now.
to flashback.
I know. I want to see if they all do. It'd be very interesting to see.
So we get to see Hugo and Moira in 1983. And I didn't realize this the first time I watched it through. I thought it was a consensual thing, and it's not.
Well, I guess it was the first
time.
Moira.
And she said that was a mistake, but this time, no.
And you can hear her crying when Constance kills her.
Yeah.
Why Constance is not conscious of that, I don't get. Other than she's just so self-centered, all she cares about is just a woman under her husband. Because she kills her first.
Yeah, that's where Moira
a lot of people do.
That's where Moira loses the eye.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it makes no sense because she should have just killed Hugo.
Yeah,
that's how most people react that way. They don't go after their loved one; they go after the person that they're cheating with. That's just
but sometimes the other person doesn't. I mean, in this case, she knew she was a maid, but a lot of times people don't even know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's true.
Most of the time. Yeah. It's pretty sad because it was rape. It was non-consensual. It was.
No.
And it sounded like the first go around was his doing as well. Him seducing her.
I think he initiated it, but she consented. She said the first time was a mistake.
Was a mistake because she was lonely and she regretted it.
Right.
Yep. And this goes to show you, this is 1983. There's a young woman who's working as a maid in a house. You got to figure, with the booming economy in the 80s and everything bigger and flashier, then you got people that are working, like lower the minimum wage jobs like that. People were easily seduced by people with money, people with power in the 80s. So I'm sure she was absolutely easily seduced by him.
Because you notice,
he asked her if she wanted a new Camaro.
Because he just got a new stock of Camaros in, and he asked her.
Exactly.
Yep.
It's like
everything was about flash in the 80s.
Yep.
Yes, there was.
Paying for it now.
And then, we hear Constance say that she loved him since she was 16 years old.
Which is interesting. I had totally forgot about that. And that adds to Constance's whole crushing of a dream thing, too. She was with her childhood sweetheart. And so it's like somebody as a young woman, 18, 19, 20 years old, going out to Hollywood to pursue their dreams, that doesn't come attached to a childhood sweetheart. So that was interesting on top of that.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if they moved here because she wanted to, so he said okay.
It's possible.
Or maybe she was pregnant.
Yeah.
We don't know how old. We don't know exactly how old anybody is. And Addie, you can't really tell how old she is.
Yeah,
if anybody put all that together, well, you could tell from Tate.
Well, in the very beginning, when she was a little girl, what year was it?
That was 70.
That was 73.
I think so.
So if she was born in like 62, because I was born there, so it's easier to deal.
8. I'm sorry, that was 7.
Okay, 78, and she was probably about what, 10?
I would say
Oh,
probably
younger than that. I'd say 8, 7, 8. She's
Or let's
young.
say she was born in 70 to make it easy.
yeah,
Yeah,
that makes
70.
sense.
Say 70. So that means that that was 13 years after that was when she shot the husband. So she had all 4 of those kids in 13 years. So
Yeah,
Tate was 18, 17,
Yeah.
18 when he shot up the school, and that was 90 something or other.
that was 94, I think it was.
Yeah, when
So
he shot up the school.
He
So.
would have had to have Tate in 70s as well,
Yeah,
like
'Cause
the
I
late
did-
70s.
Late
I-
70s, yeah. 'Cause
I
I was born in
do believe-
72 and I graduated in 91. So if he was say he was
Work itself out. You know how
junior.
sometimes the timelines don't exactly work the way they're supposed to
Yes.
work.
I know, right? He was a sophomore, junior in high school. Say he was 16 in 94 when he did that. It's still
It's my understanding that Bo is the oldest of the 4.
That's what I always thought.
yeah, there was Addie in the first episode.
No,
The Mongoloid was first.
I
Addie.
think I thought she called Bo the Mongoloid too.
Mongoloid was a derogatory term for Down syndrome kids
Mhm.
back in the 80s.
And I think
Well, who knows? Maybe that's
I
fine.
think Addie was
Let me
number.
look it up. Here, let me look it up on
I think
Wikipedia.
Addie was number 3.
Let me look. Let me look. Hold on.
So
Well, then
who's
you got
two?
crazy bitch that
I
showed
don't
up in
know.
a
Mel,
pocket.
are you okay?
Mel?
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
All we see is blue.
All we see is blue, babe.
Oh, I know. My phone flipped over. My bad.
Okay.
Oh.
I'm trying to mount my damn phone holder.
Oh, all right. So let me see here. AHS Constance Children.
Yeah, we're gonna figure this out now.
Yes, we are.
We have everybody here.
Because we saw Bo very, very briefly.
Yeah,
You saw
And
the
you know
ball.
Tate and Addie. Who's the other one? Who am I missing?
Rose.
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 We
from
don't
Apocalypse.
know about Rose until 9.
Right now, if we're just only taking season 1, it should have been
Oh, the
older
little
son,
girl
the gay
from
son.
Apocalypse.
Yeah.
But this should have been the gay son first, because in the cutscene from season 1, it was that gay eccentric son,
Yeah, I remember that.
and then that was completely retro. That was retconned.
Does anybody in the comments know the answer to this question that we're trying to figure out? Let us know.
I thought Bo was the oldest.
That's what I thought too. I thought Addie was number 3.
Yeah, I thought it was. Because she said finally with Tate, but Rose
Yeah,
was
Tate
going to
was
be
younger.
younger. I thought it was Bo, then Addie, then Tate. What do you think, Melinda?
Yeah, that's what I think it is too. I think it's Bo, Addie, Tate, and then Rose.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is this is how long, since we've done this and everything, and I've been on my channel. That was a video that I was researching for, that I was putting together for my channel. And it was about like the 4th child and about their ages. So you'd think I'd remember, but I don't.
Oh, I see. Okay. Debbie said that Addie was 39 when she died in 2011.
Yes, she's the oldest.
Yeah.
And Bo is second.
Bo is
Then
okay. Thank
there's
you.
this crazy-
Thank you, Debbie.
And then this crazy new chick.
Oh, because it names them, but doesn't do it. This says Tate, Adelaide, Beauregard, and Rose.
Yeah.
Rose throws the whole thing off because the eccentric son that was in the cutscene was an older child.
Yeah.
Older and now this younger child,
Rose was just thrown in there, I think.
Rose
It said that Rose was actually died a long time ago. Her eyes are poked out, and that she was a ghost in Apocalypse.
Yeah. She was it was meant to be that. See, Addie's the oldest. Mongoloids are that's what I said.
Yeah.
This Rose thing, when they retconned that and put this Rose in there, they were making it believe that this Rose died as a little girl, as a young little girl.
Yeah.
So she probably came before Tate, at least. Maybe even came before Bo. We don't know.
Right.
Well, and you know what? Actually, if you kind of look at her, I mean, if you think about the picture of Rose, you know, the one time we saw her in Apocalypse,
Thank
she
you, Deb.
actually, if you look at her hairstyle and her dress, I mean, I could see Constance maybe just dressing her girls that way regardless, but I think time period wise, it does suggest like a longer time.
It does, yeah.
See, Debbie says Beauregard is probably second, but we don't know about Rose at all.
Yeah, she could be any number. We just know she died when she was like before she was 10.
Yes,
Yeah.
Mel's onto something though, because Rose is dressed very, very similar
Very
to the way
60s.
Addie was dressed in the opening show. The little
Yeah.
baby doll.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. And do you notice they both had the yellow dress on?
Uh-huh.
So, all right. Well, that's
You know what made that really interesting with the fourth child thing? I mean, just as a side note, because we're on that season, but with the fourth child thing, it would have made it really cool instead of, you know, the whole albino thing and then throwing Rose in just out of nowhere. But if they would have made it like Addie had a twin,
Yeah.
or maybe Tate did something like that, especially because then
That would have made more
then
sense.
she
Well, because
when Tate
she
impregnated
did say I
Vivian,
had
she
4
twins,
children.
so
They
it
could
makes
have
sense
done.
that it's in the family.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that
Well,
would have made for a more interesting fourth child story had it been like Addie's twin that died,
that
you know,
that didn't have
while they
Down
were young
syndrome.
or something.
Right.
Like the one, like the reason Addie would have been cool is because with Addie having Down syndrome, if the other one, let's say, was normal, and then something happened where she died tragically, you know, and that would definitely drive Constance crazy because she feels like her only normal child was taken from her. You see what I'm saying? Like that would have made for, I think, a really interesting story that they could have then drug out or added to later.
Yeah, I thought for the longest time that when the previews for Apocalypse came out, that Evan's character, the hairdresser, was going to be that fourth child because that's how the fourth child was described originally. You know, with that cut scene. And I was like, well, if you're going to make connections, do that there because you've already got this you know, pale, flamboyant hairdresser that was, you know, going to be part of Apocalypse.
Mm-hmm.
And that a perfect opportunity. You can go look at that cut scene, and that actor is even dressed very similar to where Evan was in Apocalypse.
Yeah.
So, who knows?
So Debbie says, interesting. I really wonder how Rose died. Did Addie kill her because she was Constance's pretty girl?
Maybe.
Oh, maybe.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
That's good, Debbie.
That sounds like something she would do.
Yeah.
And because she poked her eyes out, she made her in the closet with all the mirrors.
Mm-hmm.
So she could see herself. Because Addie couldn't see. Because Rose couldn't see.
Oh my God.
This is freaking amazing. I never thought of that. And that is such an awesome theory. I like that a lot.
It would make sense why she would put her in with the mirrors.
Well, yeah. And now that we're going back to the beginning, it's so nice to sit there going, wait, I didn't even think about that before.
Right.
Yeah, it would have to be, because I don't think Constance would have harmed any of her children.
No.
Up to the
Not
Michael Landon
intentionally.
thing. Yeah. So it would
Well,
have to
but
be
she
Addie
certainly
or
tortured them.
Well, yeah, we know that.
She never physically abused them in that sense because I think she thought of the abuse that she was doing differently. You know, there's mental abusers, there's things there.
Well, and you got to think of the time period that she came from. And like the things that the parents did to them. I mean, how things parents did, you know, 30 years ago compared to what they even do now, let alone, you know, back then.
Right.
Yeah. It's like we got two people right here, right now. My upbringing, we're all the same family. My upbringing is completely night and day from Kaylee's upbringing. You know, because of what me and my sister went through, they didn't do that. And then Kaylee's children are completely different from how she was raised. So it's generational, you know.
Definitely.
Hey, Mother Supreme is here.
What's up, Mary?
What's up, Mother Supreme?
Thank you. She said we all look gorgeous.
Aw, thank you, Mary.
We're talking the four children. God help us.
Yes.
We're talking about the fourth child that Constance had.
I want my phone to stay up.
I like that Debbie said that Addie killed her and did something with her, like a scissor, because she had no eyes.
Yeah.
So maybe Addie gouged him out, and that's why she put her in the room with the mirrors. What do you think, Mayor?
Well, that, and I like the thought that she's her twin.
Yeah,
That
I love
the other
that.
thing I like.
Well, unfortunately, I don't think we're ever going to know the answer to that question.
I
So
know.
it'd be fun to.
No, not unless
Well,
one of us
actually-
wins dinner with Ryan Murphy.
Even
Well,
then, you know, he might not
He probably
dig
won't
in,
say
like you
shit.
said.
Ryan
And
might
like
not
you said,
even
he's gonna be
behind
like,
that.
"Oh yeah, I thought of that."
I'm
You know,
sure a
long
lot of
time
this stuff
ago."
was just like accidental.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, you don't even know if Ryan was even behind this mysterious fourth child. It could have just been like, so just because it really was 1 second of a shot
Oh, I know.
and confused the world out of everybody. Okay, moving on.
We're
Okay, moving on.
Cool.
So we had the murder. We don't find out what happened to Moira, and then we get the opening credits, right? Or did we get the Vivian scene first?
Which one?
I'm sorry?
The opening after when did we get the opening credits? Was it right after the murder, or did we get the Vivian scene first?
We get the Vivian scene first, and then we get the opening credits.
Yes. Oh yeah, because Vivian tells him, she declares, "If you lie to me again, we're done," and then we get the opening credits because that's all he's doing this entire the last 2 episodes. So it's setting that tension up. But yeah, and this is a little trick on first time that I think writing wise they're really trying to fool you. There's a lot of trickery and fooling that goes on in American Horror Story, and this is like a first real stunt. And that was that we know what's going on, but Vivian doesn't. But the show opens and she's like, "How could you?" Blah blah blah. And we're like, "Wait, did she find out about Hayden? What's going on?" And it turns out to be the investment of the house that she's all upset about. She has nothing.
Like, what the hell, really?
Yeah, she didn't know yet, but you got
You're like,
your mind.
no, you're thinking right then as the audience, we're thinking, bitch, you don't know nothing yet. You
Yeah,
have
I
no
know.
idea
Yeah.
how your world's about to flip.
Yeah.
And you're just
mad
telling
about
her
the
you
house
lost the
money.
money and you can't sell the house. You have no idea what else is really going on.
Shit,
Yep.
yeah, you can lose your money, but you can leave. Nobody makes you stay there.
That's true.
Yep. Well, see, I think that a lot of this shows what Ben's cruel ways is he basically got into a bad investment or did anything to scrape by to put any loose ends together just to get them a new start, just to get them a distraction, something different, so that he can forget about all of this that he's done, and it backfired on him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I could see that, they didn't talk about it, but I could see, Ben and Viv had problems before and everything before even the cheating. And I could see him of having like some type of like gambling addiction,
Gambling
or
problem.
money, or investment problems
The
where he
shrink needs to
bad
shrink.
investments and stuff. And then that being why that was such a big deal later to her, but it wasn't talked about in the backstory or something, because that's the type of character he seems like. Like I could totally see that.
Yeah. Because we've
he's
all
very
agreed that Ben is just gross.
He's a very neat, selfish character in a sense that he just picks and moves on and moves chess pieces around and doesn't really ever have anything together.
He's stumbling.
Yeah.
It looks like someone stumbling around, like trying to figure out where they're going.
Well, and then he has that sexual shit that's going on with him too. So we find out the bad investment when they're not moving. Ben tells it it's out of the question. Vivian's like, hell no, motherfucker, we're going right now. I'll do it.
I'll do the job. That's it.
Vivian's on her own. So then credits come back. Marcy's there in the house, and Vivian's like, look, today's the day. You go bake yourself some baked goods, and you open this house up, and we're
She's like,
gonna
you better bake some fucking cookies.
She's like,
and buy some really expensive floral arrangements.
Yeah, expensive floral arrangements.
And she's like, well, maybe you need another realtor. And she's like, you think you were my first call?
Yeah, I like that. I liked that.
Nobody wants to sell this fucking house.
But Marcy knows more about the house than she's saying at this point.
Well, yeah,
because she eventually didn't tell them, and then eventually, she takes her on the murder tour.
Yeah. We get a lot more exposition right now. We find out that there was more than just the one murder. We also get the Montgomery. Well, no, we get the Montgomery record later. So we get more exposition. There was something more sinister that went on in the house, and we get the sense that the house is extremely difficult to sell. It's extremely difficult to list. So their magic, cheap price that they got in the beginning wasn't such a great deal, So and this is why we learned that Vivian has already put a lot of thought into this, a lot of research into this, and now the pieces are starting to unfold. So this is one of those exposition scenes that moves the story forward, but giving us more information in the back, which is cool. And I was glad to see that they wrote a character that is behaving in a normal response to all this bullcrap that's going on.
Yeah.
Because it's like, come on, you've been terrorized. You have mass murder that's gone on in your house. People were slaughtered the night before, and everybody's just sleeping just fine. No, Vivian's not, so she's reacting in an appropriate way.
And I love how Marcy's trying to distract her with the whole story with the previous owners and the poker and all that stuff, and then she's like, Marcy.
Yeah. She's like, We also get some more weirdness with the house.
So then she takes the tour, right?
Not until she actually sees them.
No, she does. She takes a tour after this. Yeah, right after this, she takes.
So she's like, you know what? I'm going to find out what's going on, and she hops on that murder house tour.
And that's where we get the Montgomery story, and
that's when we find out about Nora.
These are top 5 characters for me. Then the top 5 is the Montgomerys. I think this little story is so incredibly well written. Lily Rabb just shines right here in her first role. They're amazing family. They're so fascinating, and that's one connection that, even though I hate all the connections, it's one connection that I like when they bring them back up, because they're almost like the grandparents, the godparents of this whole franchise. It's like it all roots back to the Montgomerys, and
he moved her from the East Coast, and he built the house for her exactly how she wanted it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I agree with you, though. I love this role for Lily. Like, oh my God, this was just an amazing, like you said, start even with AHS.
If the house has
it's a memorable role.
Yeah,
very memorable.
He does it so well. Oh,
look what
Nora, or do you think it's
Nora? It's like by the time we get to the end when she has the babies, it's a total different character, and she does the transition she does is so good. Anyway,
because you see the flashback with her dealing with her child, and you're like, oh, she can't handle it.
Yeah.
And then you see her when she's caring after other people who get scared in the house, Violet and Tate and all these other things, and the infantata, and you see all these things, and you think, oh, she was just a misunderstood, loving soul. She was stressed. Her husband was crazy. All this stuff. But then, like you said, you get to the end and you see how she is with the baby, and you're like, that bitch couldn't handle a kid if she tried. She's crazy. Like, especially a baby.
You're right on point. Where Nora became the mother she was always destined to be, is she became the mother of the house, the mother of the spirits, the mother of, she didn't handle a real life baby of her own, but she was risen to a higher power to be the mother of this chaos that's going on with all this craziness.
Right.
And she's looked at by the other spirits and stuff like that. And but this is also, I believe, the first time, going back to us just watching it one episode at a time, this is the first time that we get to see in our face that something is amiss, that this woman is walking around the house. We've got Moira now, and now we've got Nora to say these people are truly dead, and now you're dealing with spirits.
But I think before we go there, while she's on the murder house tour, she starts bleeding, and she runs into the house.
Mm-hmm.
And they asked her when you started bleeding, and she said, when I left the house.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you know why I remember that? You know why I remember that scene? And I know they did it on purpose so that it would be exaggerated and you'd remember it. But I remember because she had white pants on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course.
And to a lady, that's a nightmare.
Well, and then it brought her to the doctor. And then Ben passes out, and they do blood work on him. And then they find out he's been being drugged with laudanum, which nobody uses anymore. So that's why he's having all these blackouts and waking up in the backyard with a shovel in his hand.
Well, yeah, and he told
Moira's basically in Moira's grave,
after
which we find out
which is
later on in the episode.
Yeah. After the Gina Porcine, he looks straight at Moira. He's like, "You're spiking my coffee." So I know you drugged the hell. So,
and then she's like,
Moira doing that, or is it just the house?
Oh, it was Moira.
Yeah.
It was Moira.
Oh no, Moira was drugging him.
Oh yeah.
She's all, prove it.
She was using the old school laudanum thing that nobody uses anymore. Then again, that's what Montgomery was hooked on. So maybe Montgomery was doing it.
We don't really know, because
it was the stuff that he was like inhaling, like the ether and the laudanum and stuff that they used to give to the women before they gave them the abortions.
Yeah.
So who knows if it was really Moira, because he ends up in the back where Moira's body is, and you would think Moira would want him to dig her up so she could leave.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it could have been Nora. Could have been any of them. Could have been Tate.
But Moira was the
Yeah.
one who handed him the cups.
Yeah,
all
and
the
she
time.
said she was so cheeky when she was going up the stairs. She's like, "Prove it," you know. So it
Yeah,
was her.
so
Well, yeah,
Just-
because one, Moira, that's her job. You know, she's the
It's-
maid. So she would give him his tea. That doesn't mean she poisoned it. But she probably knows who did,
Yeah.
and she doesn't like him anyway. So that's why she would say, well, prove it. It's not my problem. You know
it
what I
could
mean?
go either way. She
Yeah.
could be doing it, or
Moira
or
does
some-
know everything that's going on in the house. She
Yeah.
is the eyes and ears of the spirits. Yeah. So, okay, wait. So back on track. So you're right. She goes to the doctor. She tells her she's not having a miscarriage. You know, now we find out that Vivian's now been escalated to an additional level of all the stress that's going on, and nothing's going right with this pregnancy. This woman can't catch a break, and now she's at this point she's frustrated. At this point, she's like, you know what? Fuck, we're gonna go find ourselves a place. We're out of this nonsense.
Right.
And so then we cut back to Ben, who is now with our very first scene with Adina Porter. And I don't think a lot of people remember Adina Porter
Yeah,
being
most people don't remember Adina Porter was in Murder House.
Yeah.
in this role. Adina, a lot of people have mixed reviews of Adina Porter, and
I like her.
because she's very one note.
she's very versatile.
A lot of people are, you know, very, Adina Porter role. It's Adina Porter. So maybe, take it or leave it. But this role for her, this monotone, boring. Oh, she sells it. Yeah, anybody would attack her in that place. It's like, come
You
on.
could tell she was just an uber sad, depressed person,
Oh, God.
insecure, and
The
it came
no
across
blinking, the-
with only a few words, like you said. Like she didn't have to say a whole lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so this real depressive state, this real boring woman who basically was there to show us that something more is in control of Ben's psyche in this. We only find out that we're fooled led to believe that Ben murdered this woman or something when we arrive with this woman. He shows up in the yard with blood on his hands and freaking out what's going on. Kind of find out she tried to get attention by cutting on herself to commit suicide in his office, and Ben tried to stop it, but Moira intervened in whatever she was doing, and tried to set Ben up. And so it's,
buddy. You ready?
this is the first that we really, really learned that there's something bigger in the house that is out of these people's control, and something we had the little thing with Ben standing naked at the stove, but now we've got like people are getting hurt in this situation. And so I think as fun as Adina Porter was, I think it's a really important scene to move the house forward, to give the house more fun.
Her character's name was Sally Freeman.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Sally Friedman.
Yep. Look, why are you eating that? Okay, so
that was when we knew that.
So because when he's with her is when Hayden starts calling him.
oh god,
Oh yeah.
Lord, we get all this mess going on. Yeah, this is where Hayden shows up.
You want a sandwich?
There's two scenes.
Can I have?
In season one that every single time I rewatch this season cracked me up, and I don't know why, but it's funny as fuck. Is the first season or the second episode when they're running down the street? Help me! It always cracks me up for some reason. And then when Hayden gets smacked by the shovel.
Oh no.
Well, the other thing that we missed, though, that I thought was important that I caught again was when the police officer came who was investigating Sally's murder.
No.
And he sees Moira. He sees Moira the way Ben sees Moira.
Mhm.
But before that, she's having a conversation. I think it's with Constance, and she's like, well, men are men, and people are going to see what they want to see.
The men will see what they want
Not
to see.
how things are.
Yep.
No, she says men will see what they want to see. Women will see into the soul of a person, the true soul of a person.
So she's basically explaining why she looks like a sexy, hot girl to
The
Men.
men.
I just hate
Men.
the fact that Moira's the only person that has
I was
this.
talking about you missed out on the first episode. The first episode I was talking about that. That rule bothers me too. That
Why is
she's the only one ever used for that.
Gets to, go from young to old, and the other ones don't.
Yeah. Well, see,
it has to have something to do with her character in general. Like maybe she was a little slut in the beginning and then she decided not to be anymore.
Yeah.
Well, what I got from the explanation is I think this happens with all ghosts, with all spirits. Men will see what they want to see, women see into the soul. And that would be with anything.
But it again raises the complication of like, do spirits age? Like I
That's
would
my
be an
viewpoint.
old woman now, so this is what I look like. So I choose to look like that. But
Yeah.
Would
you
she
know,
be that old
We
though,
don't
or
know if
would
she
she
would age
be?
like that.
I'll be right back. I got a cat screaming.
Yeah,
here.
we don't know if she would have aged like that
What?
because she
Stop it.
didn't. She died when
right?
she was young, and that's bothersome to me too because it's like
Come here.
you got several young people who are ghosts throughout the series who have died that we've never seen age, or you got several older people that have never de-aged to present themselves in any way, shape, or form.
Mhm.
So, but Moira's always had kind of like breaking the rules.
Well,
in a lot
because
of-
maybe Moira was an old soul, so that's why you see her in her soul with what she is.
Yeah, that would make sense.
And
Yeah.
can we now give? I have to say something because Dennis O'Hare, I love him so much.
Bring Dennis back.
I
Bring
wish
Dennis
they
back.
would get over their differences so he could come
They
back.
did. Dennis denied it. Now they
They
did. They said Dennis was fine.
He's just he'll come. He wants to come back if there's a role for him.
Yeah, BRT
Well, I
is
mean,
good.
they have enough seasons coming up. It's not like there's not something he can do.
Even if he just popped up for a couple
I
episodes.
was just gonna say, yeah, he could just pop in, kind of like Leslie Jordan did
Mhm.
last season. Like it wasn't main cast, and nobody knew until it was already airing that he was going to end up being on the show, and that was awesome.
Yeah, there's a couple people that when they are absent from American Horror Story, you feel their absence. Lily Rabe is one. Dennis O'Hare is another one. You got, of course, Sarah and Evan and
Finn.
Jessica. But it's like Dennis was always there to like straight through like Roanoke, and then all of a sudden he was gone. And it was a huge miss.
Yeah.
From that. Kind of like when Sarah and Evan were just like.
Well, and
all the way
especially
there.
after being there with Hotel, because obviously that's everybody's favorite Dennis O'Hare character.
Oh, God,
And
yes.
Yeah.
And the thing is like, yeah, then after Hotel, we did Roanoke, but he didn't have a major role. He didn't
there.
have a very memorable role. I mean, it was a good role and he played it well, don't get me wrong. But compared to that season, it wasn't a very memorable role. It wasn't big. It was something that even if they wouldn't have had, the story still would have played out. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
But that's the thing too, and that's why it's like everybody wants him back so bad, because the last thing that people remember him from is Liz.
Yeah.
Which is an iconic, amazing character.
Entire series. Yeah, exactly. He put, he's done a lot of his roles have been extremely significant to the series. I mean, his role in Coven was extremely significant.
Oh God, I loved his role in Coven.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything I didn't love that he didn't do.
Yeah.
It's just insane. And then
I do love him as Larry, and the fact that he's
so
now. We're gonna go back to the actual episode.
Yeah,
I'm not that fond of Larry. I mean,
really?
He was an okay character, but yeah, I just I could have done without Larry.
But now we have him starting the blackmail.
Yeah, well,
of Ben.
He didn't ask him for $1,000. We don't really know why. We know that he wanted to live out his dream, be a Hollywood actor. Or
he wanted headshots.
I think that's bullshit.
Yeah, it's all bullshit. But he was saying he needed headshots, so he needed $1,000.
Yeah,
because he wants the house to give it to Constance.
He wants Constance back. Yeah, and like I said, Larry was put in there originally to be the device, to be the creepy man next door.
Yeah, he was the puppet master.
That's why he knew who Ben was. He knew where Ben lived because that's why he picked him. That's why he wanted him, because he wanted the house for Constance. But I don't think it was honestly ever about the blackmail. I think that was just his way of making an excuse so that he could be near the house, be around Ben, have something over him.
Absolutely.
His whole plan was to scare him out of the house or to kill him or whatever, get him out of the house, plain and simple, out of the house so he could have it for Constance.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Because for Larry, it's all about getting the house for Constance. That's it.
Yeah.
Right. His whole existence.
Remember, he knows everything. It's almost like he's a spirit in the house. He knows so much about his life that it's like
no, he's not a spirit in the house. He's like the Billy Dean to come and go.
Yes, it's like he would almost be like a spirit, but because he's alive, it takes so much stalking to do what he did to find out the information that he did.
And it's interesting because he's like Constance. Constance is alive. She can see everybody, and so can Larry.
Yeah.
And Larry, I don't think has anything mystical about him, whereas I think Constance does.
But both of them now have a connection to the house. Both of them have murdered people in that house.
Yep.
Both of them have created spirits in that house. So maybe that's part of the connection. Is you have some
Because
sort
they're
of
both humans, they're not psychics.
nope.
And I don't think, maybe she's a witch, but I don't think he is. I don't think he's much of anything except a weak man.
No, I just think they're connected to the house. The house draws you in. That the house, they again. I really believe that if you want to look at the grand scheme of things, I believe that Constance was being prepped to raise the Antichrist. And so with that house being a big portal to the underworld and everything, that Constance was like a vessel, and the people around Constance's life are drawn to the house, or are affected by the house. And Larry, being his undying love for Constance, would make him connected to her and the house and everything else. So
Debbie, we
remember,
don't.
he had the house before her, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
No, she did. She had the house. Then he
You don't
married
meet Lorraine until later on in the season, but we'll get into
She married Larry because he was in the house, right?
Yes.
We'll get to that later. The whole who owned the house when.
Mm-hmm.
Right now we're working on Nora. And we're down to 15 minutes. We have to finish Nora's story.
Oh, Lord, good Lord. Okay, so wait. So Larry shows up. He's got. Wait, what was he doing here now?
He found Ben passed out with a shovel where he was digging.
Oh yeah,
a pit.
so we find out that Adina Porter she tried to hurt herself, and Ben was drugged and all that shit. Then we get
and then Hayden just showed up and said she was one of his clients, his patients, and he walks in and finds Hayden in the house.
Yeah, we got Hayden in the house. We got all this shit going on, craziness. And then Mrs. Montgomery comes back. She comes back to tour the house.
But after he kills Hayden, before he kills Hayden, he kills Hayden.
So
Hayden comes into the house, and they're walking outside because the police inspector comes in about Sarah, and he can't find his tape recorder, which was found on Sally, and that's how they know that he didn't do anything. That he's like, you didn't do anything wrong. There's nothing wrong with being an ass. What do you say? Call him an asshole, or a dick or something.
Yeah.
And as they're walking out, Larry hits Hayden with a shovel and kills her. And they proceed to dig the big pit in the back where Ben's been passing out all the time.
Yeah.
And it's been bringing him to the pit where when he gets to the bottom, he sees the
skeleton of Moira. Yeah.
Yep.
Because that's where Moira is buried.
And Constance is with Moira, and she looked at her and says, "Now you're never going to be able to leave."
What the hell was Constance doing upstairs, putting on earrings, looking out the window with Moira when Ben's downstairs killing people?
For some reason, she can come and go in that house, and I don't understand it.
Again, you've had slaughter just went on under your watch in that house. Your ex-girlfriend is here stalking you. She's pregnant. Your wife is pregnant, and you got the crazy neighbor lady upstairs. Who the hell let Constance in?
She just comes in, and she's up stealing here. She
probably has a master key. Think about it.
She has to, or Moira just opens the door for her.
Or she just opens the door, and she is a witch, and she walks right through.
Yeah, she just sit up there doing earrings like she just got out of the shower or something.
Yeah, putting on her big diamond earrings.
Yeah, basically, she just says, "And now you're stuck here."
Because Moira keeps telling her she's tired and she wants to leave the place, and she can't. And then we find out the reason that Moira can't leave is because Moira, her body was buried in the back, and no one ever found her. Nobody ever took her bones to be rested, and that's why she's stuck here.
Why is Moira the only one that this applies to as well? The bones thing, and you get to move
because she didn't have any unfinished business.
Yeah, unfinished business. It's her soul is not rested.
Now, we're assuming this because that's what they explain in Hotel, but they never explain that in Murder House.
Yeah.
They never say why you're stuck there, other than if you die there, you're going to stay there, period, no matter whether you have unfinished business or not. That's the whole hotel thing.
I think these rules are fluid. These rules are kind of, you've got some basics, but the rules are kind of
fluid. They need to give, Moira keeps voicing the fact that she wants to move on and she doesn't want to be there.
Right.
So they have to give you a reason why, and a reason why they bury her, and then they build a big gazebo at the top. In the meantime, Vivian is with Violet, and they're looking at apartments, and she's like, if you make me live here, I'm going to move away. And she turns into a little spoiled brat.
Yeah, once again,
no regards to her mother being pregnant and all this shit that's going on.
No regards
and then
teenagers don't. Trust
Then
me.
Nora goes back and knocks on the door like she's there to see the house. Well, she doesn't say anything other than she wants to come in. So then
Yeah.
I'm going to go cut to you guys. So that's what you were waiting. So Nora comes face to face with Vivian, and she's looking at the house like it was her house, and she and then she gets to the kitchen and sees all the microwaves and stuff.
Yeah. And the
Mhm.
fact
Flips out because it wasn't how she wanted it. But that's when Vivian is like trying to be nice to her, and then all of a sudden she's gone.
Yeah, she goes and gets the tea out of the microwave, turns her back, and then
Turns her back, and Vivian's
So
gone.
we saw the bullet hole, the wound prior to her vanishing. We saw the big exit wound. They panned around.
Every time she turns around, you see the wound in the back, and you're like, okay, she's dead. Well, we know
Isn't
she's
it
dead.
creepy? Creepy as hell.
Very creepy.
And then so we get the burial of Hayden, and no, with the burial of Hayden was right before North. What was I really noticed about this moment, this whole montage at the end, is did you have anybody have your subtitles on? Because the song, this is where they you knew it was a new writer and director, because this ending was so incredibly beautiful and so well done, and it was almost choreographed to this song, and the lyrics that the song was saying as the scene was playing through, it was like talking about this is the end and a new beginning, and they were flashing to certain characters that every single word in that song was meaning something to the end. So instead of having the typical that we got used to for the first couple of episodes of a character declaring a plot point and then the episode ending, the song did that for us in a real subtle way, telling us that we now have given you the story. Now we're going to move on. Now we're going to tell you what's going to happen with the story, and that's exactly what happens to the season. Is we've been given all the background stuff now. Now we know what we're dealing with, and now we can enjoy the story. So whoever wrote this, what's her name that wrote this?
Jennifer Salt.
Jennifer Salt and Brad. This was amazing. This last little montage was just television history. It was absolutely incredible. If you have not watch this with the subtitles on, I just watched this last montage with the subtitles on and look at the lyrics of the song. It's incredible how it's choreographed to that. Really, really cool. I haven't seen good music like that put to actual the plot into Hotel. They do that with Hotel.
I was gonna say they do it in Hotel a lot. I love it.
This is like the first time they really, really crafted.
Well, they do it in Freak Show. They sing songs.
Well, they sing. They use their.
That's because Jessica Lange basically wrote and directed Freak Show.
Yeah,
and she was a big
she
fan
said it was
of
her
Freak
favorite
shows and
character.
musicals.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah. That's what it was. A tribute to old 1930s and 40s musical Hollywood. Mm-hmm. But
they were singing Nirvana.
Yeah,
David Bowie.
Loved that. I loved how they did that. How they brought in the newer music like that. It was great.
Yeah, no, when she was up there singing Heroes, it was fucking awesome. But anyway.
Don't worry.
So they bury Hayden, and now the gazebo goes up.
Yes. And here's where I have I think they filmed this gazebo scene out of sequence with like they do with everything else. You film things out of sequence because Connie's acting and Connie's reaction in this scene is so out of place from where Vivian is at as a character in this moment. She does this she brings the tea and they're smiling and she puts
the tea and the lemonade, and she's just like, she's like, I love the gazebo, it's beautiful.
She's so not there as a character.
Maybe she's just really happy that there's something that's going to boost the sale.
But that's Vivian, that's not her.
He's on the board with it. Yeah, no,
it just seemed to me it was filmed.
Maybe they gave her a little laudanum too. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
It's possible.
Yeah,
but I believe the final.
So let's read the comments here.
Yeah.
So Debbie it's really interesting. Debbie, you are so hysterical. She's like, she just can't understand why when they moved into the house that Vivian did. It's not this long ago. And if you looked on Ben's phone that he had Google on there, why didn't she just Google the house to begin with before they moved in?
Yeah, you would think, but.
Well, yeah, because I'm pretty sure something's going to come up with the fact that they have a murder tour just for the house.
Yeah, and
we didn't talk about the murder tour. Introduced Sal Marino's backstory to this. It had nothing to do with Murder House, but really fascinating that Ryan showed, because Sal Marino's murder, we could do a whole on his murder. Yeah, it was so controversial at the time. There's still no, unsolved answers around this whole murder, but it was like one of the first believed real gay hate crimes, known for with a Hollywood actor, but then he frames a black man for the murder. And it's his lawyers, the people around him, framed this black man to save this kid's Hollywood persona and whatnot. Crazy. So it was really neat that Ryan throws a lot of this kind of culture stuff in there.
Yeah,
and we got
because
that covered.
Sal Mineo was supposed to be like the next Marlon Brando.
Yes,
he was very Brando-esque, and he was from the East Coast, but he was on the West Coast, and he was murdered in an alley. And they never brought up that there was anything other than it was like a robbery gone wrong. It was just like that was it. It wasn't until many years later that it came out that he was actually a closeted gay man.
Yeah.
And that there was evidence at the crime scene that it said that they were probably in the middle of a sexual act during this whole thing. And the fact that his lawyers and everything, that they framed it on somebody else, was to save this kid's reputation, his Hollywood reputation.
Yeah.
Insane. Absolutely insane. Because being gay was worse than murdering somebody. Back
it was terrible. It was horrible.
Yeah. Fascinating story.
Hell, it's not always different nowadays. As accepting as we are, we're still not there.
That's right.
That's true.
Living proof. All right. What other comments we got?
So let's see. BRT, Kaylee, Google or not, Vivian's character is overbearing and organized. For her not to know everything that's going out with the house is far-fetched to me.
Yeah, I agree.
She does. I mean, it's like she has this like thing where you think she's the smart woman, and then you feel like she's taken a train somewhere in the back of her head.
Yeah.
Like
that's why I honestly, I mean, and I'm not a total hater, but I'm not a huge Connie Britton fan in general.
I'm not either.
I mean,
I'm not at all.
She overacts everything. She's a drama queen behind the scenes.
Before I even did this with you guys, when I watched it on the way back, I'm like, she just felt like she was, and maybe this was how her character was supposed to be, but you would think you're moving across country.
With other things she's played too. I know what you're saying.
Yeah, I like her acting. I actually really appreciate her acting. I think she's incredibly talented. It's her behind the scenes stuff that's obnoxious to me. Her pretentious contracting bullcrap that she pulls is like, lady, you're lucky you're still working. You're lucky you still have, Hollywood around you is supporting you to work. For you to come in and she literally comes in. She disrupted 911. Ryan was a damn fool for her to hire her for 911 and write that entire first season around her. But she came on declaring she was only going to do one season, allowed him to be there every single day, do this character, and then walk away.
Yeah.
With no explanation.
Yeah, and she does that with every contract that
every contract. It's like, who are you? What gives you all this right?
See, I didn't really know who she was.
Huh?
Oh,
everybody's frozen. Oh, there you go.
For her to come across as this strong woman, but she's so
weak. The way I took it with her with the Vivian character is that she is smart. She is a strong woman. She's a strong woman when it comes to the end of the rope. You know what? I'm tired of dealing with this bullshit. Let's move on. But she's also doesn't seem like a woman who wants to bring about change in her life. She's like, you know what? Let's just leave with status quo. I'll ignore this until I can't ignore this no more. But let's just leave with the status quo. I mean, that's how she kind of presents to me.
Then again, she's pregnant, and who knows what that's doing to her body as far as, because we know it's not
does for a living.
regular.
Did they ever say what Vivian does?
Yeah, they never say like job wise.
Well,
yeah.
she wasn't.
I thought she was like a yoga teacher.
No, she was. They said it was either the first or the second episode that she used to play the cello.
That's right.
Yeah.
She was a musician in like the orchestra.
So she could be resentful for all
she
that.
She plays it later on.
Yeah, she does. She sits in front of the big window when she's pregnant.
Yeah, so her family life could have changed all that for her. Another story of, the art being taken away from in reality. You become resentful of that kind of stuff. So who knows?
Who knows?
I think with the Harmons in general, there's a lot of plot holes. There's a lot of mischaracterization.
Mm-hmm.
Vivian doesn't bother me. It's Violet, her character, the way it's written.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So Kaylee says, as a woman, she was young and stupid, and she matured in the afterlife. Do you mean Vivian, Kaylee? I think she means Kaylee, Vivian.
Vivian in the afterlife, or she's talking about
as a woman, she was young and stupid. She matured in the afterlife. Maybe she's talking about Moira.
Moira, maybe. Moira,
Because
Moira,
this was
you know,
why this was a 350, so we'd have to go back to it. Anyway,
Moira in the afterlife is funny to me because Moira seems like she's created this whole world around her because that's the only thing she can deal with. It's the only thing she accepts. So she's
Yeah.
almost like the little a gremlin or a little imp or something. She likes to play the game. She likes to stir things up. She reminds me of Peeves in Harry Potter. You know, just the little imp that always causes problems because what else are you gonna do? You know, that kind of character. So,
Yep.
Got to
she's
kill
funny.
time somehow.
Mm-hmm.
What else
like
we
we do right now.
Mhm.
So the final scene that we have before it ends is that we have Ben and Vivian asleep in bed, and then you see Nora sitting
Oh,
on.
yeah, standing at the bedside
Yeah,
like a crazy ass. I was, what the hell? And that's
And
what
that's
where we see
creepy
the
as
glory,
hell.
right?
yeah, it is because she's getting ready to touch her stomach because of the baby,
Yeah.
Right.
and then she turns over.
And look at the lyrics of the song right there when that happens. That's amazing where the lyrics are in the song. It's crazy.
And that's where it ends.
Yep.
So Kaylee said Moira. Gotcha.
Moira,
Kaylee.
yeah.
Thank you, Kaylee.
But like you said, it does apply to Vivian too, in a way.
In a way.
Because she finally started putting her foot down with Ben hardcore and was like done in the afterlife.
Mhm.
Yeah, I almost felt like she was more of who she should have been afterwards.
Well, yeah, because I found through most of this season disliking Vivian because all she does is whine.
Yeah, she's a big whiner.
All of
Her
the
and
Harmons are
Violet,
flawed.
all they do.
All of the Harmons are flawed characters. They're not
Yes.
the heroes you want them to be. You end up
No.
rooting for people like Moira and for people like that in the show because it's like everybody else is just disgusting.
Yep, pretty much.
Very, very flawed. Okay. Today's wand. Somebody's keeping track. Anybody know?
You're supposed to be keeping track. They're yours.
No, I need to go through them. This
Keep
is
telling me that.
wait.
Looks like a duck.
Yes, it's a bird. It is Victor Crumbs. He's one of the competitors in the Triwizard tournament
Nice.
from the other school. See, this wand is made by a different wand maker than the other wand maker that makes all the Harry Potter kids wands, because this is from Bulgaria. This is a Bulgarian wand maker that makes this. It's like a little duck.
Cool.
It's
Did you
cute.
take this?
Well, thank you everybody for being here. We truly appreciate it.
Yes, thank you for your input. We love the conversation. We love the interaction. So much fun.
Don't
Tomorrow's
forget to
episode 4.
subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss anything because we will be back
Tomorrow,
tomorrow.
same bat time, same bat channel.
Did you take the quiz, Mel?
Big bat shit crazy.
Yeah.
Did you take the quiz, Mel?
Well, we all are. That's why we're here.
Mel,
We all knew that, Melinda.
I'm happy to
you
have you
take the
back.
sortie
Mel.
quiz?
I can't explain
Quiz.
how.
No, I was gonna do it when we get done.
Let us know.
Yeah.
Yeah, let us know what you are.
To have you back, it's not even funny.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It's just great.
All right,
It's like
folks.
the bands got back together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. We will be back.
Kaylee,
tomorrow. Have a
BRT.
great night.
Where'd Mary go?
Bye, everybody.
Yes, and we will see you guys tomorrow. Bye, everybody.
And we're out. No, we're not.